Welcome back, truth seekers and lovers of stories that bleed beyond the script and pulse like real life under the spotlight. You're tuned into Secrets Behind the Stars, your compass in the swirling galaxy of fame, where the flashes are blinding, the whispers are loud, and the truth often hides between the beats of a heartbeat. Tonight, our journey takes us to Madrid, a city where every stone remembers the footsteps of lovers and legends, and where a single sentence on a red carpet turned a glamorous premiere into a living, breathing chapter of two lives we've followed with fascination. Before we step onto that shimmering carpet together, make sure you're subscribed, tap that bell to stay in our inner circle, and show some love with a like. If you want to dive even deeper and support the soul of our channel, the join button is there with exclusive content we've crafted for you. Now, let's return to the night where the cinema lights dimmed and real emotions took the stage. On paper, Madrid promised another triumphant evening, the international premiere of a lavish new series that had been whispered about for months, a project lauded for its sweeping production and emotionally magnetic storytelling. The Spanish capital looked like a watercolor come to life, golden facades, the shimmer of evening air, and a crowd that glowed with anticipation. Cameras stuttered like summer lightning, applause ricocheted against the old stones as if the buildings themselves were clapping, and the global press jostled for the perfect angle, the perfect quote, the perfect moment. Everything was immaculate, everything rehearsed. Until it wasn't. Cenk Torun arrived like the eye of a storm. Calm in a sea of frenzy, poised, assured, elegant down to the last detail. His career has soared in recent years, and his presence tonight radiated the serene confidence of a man who knows the room bends toward him. Up to that second, the night unfolded the way high-stakes nights usually do. Choreographed smiles, practiced poses, the clean hum of a well-oiled premiere. A member of the production team, who had been watching the gears turn behind the curtain, would later say those first minutes felt flawlessly managed. Cenk seemed relaxed, savoring the victory of hard work made visible, unaware that a single question would shift the currents of the evening, and maybe, just maybe, alter the way the public sees him. The interview began with the comforting rhythm of routine. Reporters volleyed familiar queries about shooting schedules, character arcs, and the craft of embodying complicated emotions. Someone asked whether this project marked a decisive turn in his career. Cenk, with that smooth balance of charm and discipline that has won him so many admirers, talked about commitment, about the rigor of the work, about the quiet engine of artistry that drives a performer past the finish line when the night is long. Then came the question that changed the air in the room. It slipped into the conversation like a gentle note, but it hit like a bell. Was there any feeling from the past that he had carried into the present? The noise of the crowd muffled itself. Cenk paused, just a breath, barely visible, but deep as a well. His eyes drifted from the hurricane of cameras toward the space beyond them, as if he were reaching for a moment that didn't need light to be seen. And then he said the words that hushed Madrid, "There are people who etch themselves into you. Time doesn't wipe that away, it only changes what the mark means." Nobody said a name. Nobody had to. In the minds of those on the carpet, and later, in the hearts of millions watching from their living rooms and buses and bedrooms, one image bloomed. One name. One story that never found a tidy ending, Mahasine Marabet. You felt it, didn't you? That delicate pull, that ache wrapped in elegance. Secrets Behind the Stars family, let's hold that sentence in our hands for a second. It doesn't fade, it transforms. Was Cenk talking about Mahasine? Or was he offering a wide reflection, a lesson in the human condition? Tell us in the comments what you heard in those words. Sometimes silence between the syllables says the most. And if you're finding value in this deep dive, the super thanks is a beautiful way to support our work here. At a glance, his line could have been read as a philosophical musing, graceful but abstract. But he didn't stop. He took one more step into the open, a step that flickered red lights across every tabloid newsroom in Europe. Who I am now is shaped by feelings I once shared. It's easy to pretend otherwise, it's tougher to face it. And just like that, the ambiguity sharpened into something clear enough to sting. According to more than one journalist on the scene, pens scribbled the same name almost in unison. A columnist wrote the next morning, not saying the name spelled it out more loudly than speaking it. This wasn't a revelation, this was a man deciding to own his truth. Backstage murmurs split the room into two camps. Some called it a rare act of emotional grace, a nod to the past without sensationalism. Others thought he had opened a window that should have stayed closed, exposing feelings that belonged to no audience. But then came the line that turned doubt into admiration for many: "I'm not battling what's behind me. I accept it exactly as it came." In the ruthless arena of celebrity talk, that sounded like courage, no bitterness, no scorekeeping, just the lucidity of a man who can carry his history without letting it weigh him down. He wasn't stuck in yesterday. He was building a place for it. Respectfully, quietly, firmly, so it wouldn't haunt him or anyone else. And her? Where was she in this storm of light and sound? After the gala, every eye drifted toward Mahasine Marabet, waiting for a signal, a breath, an emoji, a hint of a thought. But there was nothing. No post. No late-night story with a cryptic lyric. No carefully composed answer to feed the machine. Silence, pure and entire. And that silence, far from closing the door, swung it wider. Commentators described it as speaking by refusing to speak. One op-ed put it this way: "Some truths don't need an echo. They find their place alone." Her quiet became its own topic, a conversation inside the conversation. Was this a carefully measured decision to starve the rumor mill? Or simply the natural boundary of a woman who refuses to let her heart become a public theater? Whatever the motive, her lack of response traced an invisible line between them. A line the audience could feel even if they couldn't see it, binding two names across distance with threads that most of us only admit to ourselves in the dark. What happened when the lights fell and the velvet ropes loosened? That's where the whispers found us. People close to Cenk insist none of this was pre-planned. One member of his team pushed away the idea that a PR strategy was in the driver's seat, saying that Cenk usually measures his words like a craftsman, but in that moment, the heart outran the script. It wasn't a line. It was a pulse. And so, the Madrid night took a left turn. The series, ambitious, richly drawn, deserving of every accolade, stepped to the side for a moment while the spotlight searched the contours of a private truth. Some critics, loyal to the art itself, grumbled that the personal overshadowed the professional. Others pointed out that this very collision is what makes stars transcend the screen. Humanity doesn't ask permission before entering a room. It arrives, and we recognize it without needing a caption. Cenk wasn't just the leading man on the poster, he became the man whose voice trembled at the edges of honesty and still didn't break. By morning, headlines braided those quotes with 1,000 interpretations. Fans wrote long letters about their own marks, the kind that time didn't erase, only reshaped. Older couples said they understood every word. Younger fans turned the phrases into edits and reels, turning the Madrid pavement into a stage that stretched all the way to Istanbul. And through it all, Mahasine kept her world sheltered, as if she knew the value of the unspoken better than anyone. There was one more layer that insiders whispered about, the feeling in the room when his eyes softened, the way the noise dialed down to a hum, the breath everyone took together. The impression wasn't drama for effect, it was simplicity. A door opening and closing with no slam, just the sound of wood against air. The romance of what was, the endurance of what remains, and the dignity of letting the past hold its shape without forcing it to look like the present. The narrative, then, isn't one of scandal. It's one of recognition. That a love, or something like it, leaves fingerprints on the person you eventually become. That you can walk forward with those fingerprints without demanding they vanish. That acceptance can be more radical than denial, and more modern than spectacle. Some saw boldness. Some saw risk. Perhaps both are true. But when the applause fades and the last journalist files their copy, what lingers is the image of a man refusing to amputate the parts of himself that once loved. So here we are, secrets behind the stars family, at the end of a red carpet that turned into a confessional. A single sentence remapped the evening, and in doing so, reminded a glitzy world that the most unforgettable performances sometimes happen without a script. Cenk and Mahasine. Two names the public can't stop placing side by side, not because of gossip alone, but because the story between them, unfinished, unresolved, unshouted, seems to echo in every city where art and love share a street. Was Cenk brave, or reckless? Did he hand the crowd a piece of something too tender, or did he protect it by telling the truth in the only way that harms no one? We want your real thoughts. Drop a comment, pour your heart out, keep it kind, keep it honest. And before we say goodnight to Madrid and its velvet sky, remember that your subscription keeps this channel alive. Hit the bell so you never miss the moments that make us stop and listen. Share this video with the friends who still believe in the ache of a single sentence. And if you want to stand even closer to the fire with us, our join button opens the door to exclusive reports, behind-the-scenes insights, and stories we craft with you in mind. Thank you for being here, for listening with your whole heart, for walking this carpet with us not as voyeurs, but as witnesses to the way real life sneaks into the places we least expect. From the streets of Madrid to the soul of Istanbul, this is Secrets Behind the Stars, where we chase the light not to be blinded by it, but to reveal what it touches. Until next time, stay close, stay curious, and let the truth find you in the silence between the words.